and welcome to another episode of the Rollwise Show, the place where we play games, talk about games, and do other stuff related to games. So today we're going to be continuing
Sometimes we even play games.
Well, we play them. We actually play games a lot. So we're actually going to be doing a little bit more Ironsworn here. This is kind of our filler for right now as we're in the holiday season, just playing a game we're enjoying. And of course, there's plenty of stuff to talk about. I think at one point we might even talk about what games we really liked this year and rank them from our most favorite to less most favorite. Is that a ranking scale? And maybe give you our tops for the year as we round out 2025. I think there's definitely some stuff to talk about in terms of like Kickstarters and everything that we've been really excited about, since obviously we're spending money. I am, at least, that I shouldn't be spending on Kickstarters, but gives me some stuff to look forward to in the next however long they take to fulfill. Not terribly long. I just got my Alien stuff recently.
3 years.
Well, I
Nice.
seem to kickstart
some are faster than others.
Well, it feels like Free League, and shout out to Free League. They definitely are putting out their product very quickly from when you fund it. So it feels like it's like already mostly there. They just kickstart it for orders and everything like that. And then of course you get it in just a few months. I don't think I have some of the evolved, like there's still a couple books missing from it, but I don't think it was a terribly long wait on those. So that was kind of exciting. I'm excited to see their new starter scenario and everything like that.
That's good.
But yeah, Twilight Sword. The what we've got, Twilight Sword just finished funding. We've got Sword World in a couple months. We've got all kinds of stuff to talk about. So if you have games that you'd like us to look at, talk about, or if you have a game you want us to play or that's your own, let us know. We send us an email at rollwiseguys@gmail.com and we will take a look. We just like playing games, seeing what people put together. So I think that's enough about that. And Ironsworn, the recap. So last week was another carnival of failures, because we just cannot seem to we just can't seem to make a sure thing an actual sure thing somehow. I don't know how that's possible, but we literally, snatched defeat from the jaws of victory again. Meaning that all of our progress last week in solving the Bone Walker, crises at the village and helping, we actually went through the process of compelling a haunt that his cycle of vengeance was not the eternity that they were looking to have, and actually, laid their last rites and put them to rest. But apparently, according to the dice, our quest was undone. So something we thought we had solved the problem, but really we were looking here and the magician was over here. So there's something else about this that wasn't good. And we decided that we would end last session with us being captured upon our return to the Varou village by loyalists, let's call them at this point, loyalists to the chieftain who discovered that Radka, the agitator, was working with us to do something. Not necessarily, I didn't know what, but our secret meeting was discovered. Someone spilled the beans. Therefore, we found ourselves back in the same frying pan at this point, on our quest to get the abyssal spear and solve the original problem of driving out or killing the Leviathan that was that's endangering our village. So with that being said, I guess and scene, we basically were captured by very strong Varou warriors and taken back to a place of confinement. Whether or not we're confined with Radka, I think is an interesting question. What do you think happens here? I feel like as a Varou,
I think Radka might be under house arrest or something, like still allowed to attend council meetings, but I'm sure the council has some sort of way of dealing with that kind of stuff. They're just making sure that she is kept far away from us.
Yeah. But I don't think since we're not really Varou, I don't think we get to participate in their society. I think they're just like, okay, back to the cage for them, whatever the cage is made out of. It might be a hut or a storage place.
Yeah, with guards, and I think maybe they'll think that we're useful idiots, because we did sort of handle something that wasn't slightly annoying to the village, although the chief didn't think it was as annoying as Radka did, or as much of a threat, maybe. So we did somehow survive that, and we did bring back the shaman's charm, necklace, totem,
the effigy. Yeah. So in summary, we completed our quest, but it was politically useless for us in this with this outcome. Yes. So somehow we're no closer to obtaining our abyssal harpoon. Now the question really is that because of our escape, do we just get put to death and we write our epilogues, or do we like, oh, well, you guys already thumbed your nose at our ways
before.
Now we have little to no.
I think that the chief will see the same things that Radka did. That there is no cost to using us because they can just deny us. They can just say we escaped. I mean, or they can say that we miserably failed and ran off, or But if something gets done, then they can just go, "Oh, hey, look what we did. The chief, have made your life better."
So you think at this point we at least bought ourselves a tiny fraction of capital by accomplishing a goal within the Varou lands?
Yeah, because we give them plausible deniability.
Yeah. So so we, even though we were caught with our hand in the cookie jar, it's like, well, we did bring you the sugar for the cookies. Come on,
no. And it's like, well, maybe if they somehow got lucky and stumbled into a success in this one, maybe they can stumble into more successes that benefit the Varou as a people, and the chief, specifically as the leader.
So I think this is one of those, like, what do we do next? I'm personally of the mind that, like, my character would probably feel that he needs to break out of this and just get away from here. There's not going to be any justice on the Varou lands, and we've already kind of screwed ourselves in terms of, like, we chose the wrong ally in his mind. So I mean, I would say that his mindset is probably like, well, how do we time the guards? How do we dig out of here? Great escape style, like. But what are you thinking? Like, you're kind of the more honorable one, and it's the village.
I'm still thinking, that I couldn't kill like 4 bone walkers. I probably can't kill 1 Leviathan.
Or let alone a village of Varou warriors.
Right. And I do think that us bringing back, ending the spirit probably stopped the bone walkers. But I don't think it stopped whatever was tainting the towers.
Yeah, the pillars
the pillars, and it wouldn't surprise me if, while we were escaping and got caught trying to escape, that news wouldn't come that more of the pillars are showing the signs of corruption. The changing of colors and the sparks shooting off of them, and so because it is possible that we did make it worse.
Or we diagnosed we basically diagnosed the wrong symptoms effectively, right? We saw one thing, the haunt.
The spirit was causing the bone walkers and somehow tapping into the power of the pillar. But we don't know that it caused whatever was happening to the tainted pillars.
Correct.
We made some assumptions, because what else are you going to say? Oh yeah, no, we definitely solved everything. Prove us wrong.
Well, in our mind, we solved everything, but there's definitely, like, I mean, it does leave the question there. So the first thing is that, bringing back the effigy, what is there a chance that the effigy poisons the well a little bit? Because I could see us waking up in the middle of the night and, like, there's sounds outside the tent. All of a sudden Varou are fighting these, monstrous Varou because they've been corrupted by, whatever spirit has been brought in to this, or
it could be, or
is it so weak that they know it's corrupt because there's obviously more than one shaman in the village. I'd assume.
I would assume the shamans would examine it. I would think that it would be more that they're noticing more of the tainted pillars, and maybe somebody tried to interact with one and is now sick, and the shamans are trying to save their life, but they need some idiot to go out and I don't know break off a piece of the
break off a piece of the impossibly broken
the impossibly strong pillar. You know what I mean though, like there needs to be more. We didn't solve the thing. We solved a thing, but not the thing, is kind of how I'm looking at it.
Yeah. What would kind of be an interesting twist here, as I was thinking about it, is that what if, and this is more meta. So this is the part that's kind of interesting from a character versus player perspective and everything like that, is that what if, we talked about primordials last time, the Leviathan, and Leviathan's an epic thing, right?
Yes.
Like it is an epic foe. It is pretty much apex, top of the food chain kind of thing from a water perspective. What if there was a primordial that was a water primordial, and it was being chased by the Leviathan? They'd had a decades old, conflict between the two, and the Leviathan is winning because the primordial is getting smaller and less and all that stuff. But rather than just dying a peaceful death, went inland. And
no, I like that. And then
and so
finds a source of power, or knows that there's a source of power they can tap.
So it basically traveled through, whatever underwater waterways to these places, and has found a place of power to recuperate or gain vengeance or something like that. So Leviathan in itself is not a bad guy. It's just it itself is a it's doing its thing, and the primordial in it were definitely two apex predators fighting over possibly decades or centuries. I don't know how long a Leviathan.
It's Godzilla versus Mothra.
Exactly. But at this point, the primordial had fled the sea, a water god fleeing the sea and traveled through whatever reservoirs, underground water or whatever it could to get to this, and that's where it landed on this pillar.
I like that. No, that's very good.
So I mean that could represent, like and it's hard to know how long that could be, because there were weeks that Leviathan came through, and maybe the Leviathan was chasing it. I mean, like, what if the Leviathan gets more powerful by eating this fucking primordial thing? I don't know. Maybe as a source of power.
Now it's like a Highlander. It absorbs the power of.
Well, I mean, primordials are like they're. Would demigod be the right word? What did they use for the word in?
It was something like that.
In this rule book. Obviously, I just am opening the rules now because I forgot to open it. But firstborn, primordial, like vestigial spirits of long forgotten gods.
Yeah,
and
so gods whose powers have waned over the centuries, and are a shadow of what they were, but still way more powerful than any mortal creatures.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, there could be some tie to that. Now, Highlander, whatever, there's always that consume the flesh mythology, consume the flesh of something powerful, you gain its power, or at least an aspect of its power. Yeah. And maybe there's something to that here. But that could be a way that, ties this to something that makes some sense as to why we didn't actually solve the problem, because there's something in here that is foreign to the land but caused problems nonetheless, and it seems dark enough and evil enough.
Yes.
And and I don't know what kind of primordial it would be. Like they are just vestigial old forgotten gods. So I mean, what would be a vestigial old forgotten god that I don't know.
No,
We'll
it
have to
could
think
be.
about
It could be any. It could be anything. That
yeah. The god of the deep, god of
It
the
could. Well, no, it could be the god of the deep because the Leviathan,
also is of the
can't,
deep.
is also of the deep. Yeah.
Hmm.
The god of water or of rain or of storms or of all of the above.
Hmm. Yeah, god of the crushing depths, the abyss. Yeah, the abyssal harpoon. That's why there's a lot of tie in here. So I mean, that could at least be a meta component that
Sure.
that adds to it. That makes sense, but it's not. We don't have to think about that yet. I just was.
No, I like that though. I like that as
Whiteboarding.
something down the road. Yes.
Yeah.
Whiteboard it.
Yep. So, okay. So now, as for our first thing is that what would be the most likely thing that would happen next? Would we get some sort of meeting with the elders now that we've caused enough disturbance to warrant their attention, or do we?
I think possibly a small meeting. Maybe not the full council, but maybe the chieftain actually attends this time with a couple of his closest, allies on the council.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So
to give us the knowledge that we're not supposed to have, that the village isn't supposed to have.
All right.
If he thought that Radka was wasting time with the bone walkers, because he knew the truth or some semblance of the truth, and they've been protecting the people by not giving them all of the information, right?
Yeah, tends to be how it goes. They don't tend to reveal all the secrets.
I mean, you send, things start happening, and you start sending scouts out beyond your borders to see what's happening. But until the problems come into your borders, they're not really your problems, even if they're moving towards you. You know what I mean? Like the people don't need to know yet. It kind of feels like we're in one of those situations.
Sure. So, okay. So then I think from a story perspective, what is this going to fall into? Because we have
kind of feeling like we're going to get sent on a mission with a larger entourage and maybe a shaman to investigate the pillars.
Okay. So in this case, so story wise, I could easily see, we're summoned, some Varou. Since we haven't really discussed like what the structure of this Varou thing would be, is it what do you like? Would it be like an honor guard, or would it be like the chieftain's own braves, warriors, whatever we want to?
Probably some of his trusted warriors. Again, especially since it seems like we're presupposing that there is information that the general Varou population doesn't have.
Okay.
But it would have to be people from the inner circle that are trusted, that are obviously very strong, very brave, warriors who would, stop us, discourage us from trying to escape.
Okay, so these warriors come to collect us again. It feels like we're very much in the dead of night. You are gathered by these,
the early morning,
intense looking warriors who take us to the great hall, which is empty for what it is.
They bring us in a side door. Not the main, not the
they bring us in. They bring us in the one of the back entrances, and then we go to a meeting area where the several people are there, but it definitely a small group for the meeting area size. Each of us look at us with disdain and curiosity, because that's about as much as we can afford. And
I'd say
you know,
that's fair.
do you think customarily they would ask us to sit, or would we stand or kneel, or where do you think they would?
I think they'd
ask?
make a stand.
Yeah.
I think they'd make a stand.
Okay. This small council is seated in kind of like a position of authority, maybe on a
Yes.
dais. So
Yeah, they
like,
might be raised up, but I always kind of assume the Varou were a little taller than us.
mhm.
A head or so. So even seated, they can probably look us in the eye, kind of.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. And they, I think at this point, this is when we would explain our story to them, or at least they would ask for an explanation, like, what is our side of the story? Because if the king is at all like not corrupt and
Right.
is at least sort of just, they would at least want to know what we thought the story was.
Yes. Then I would tell him about our village and the Leviathan coming after generations of no word of any even Leviathan sightings, and now it's inhabiting the cove, or the kind of inlet that we use to fish and stuff, and it's going to make us either have to relocate or try to fight it, and it'll kill us because it already killed some of our men. And our belief is that the only thing that can defeat the Leviathan is the abyssal harpoon.
Yeah.
Which we gave to the Varou when they beat us, when we encroached upon their lands. I'm using all of the right words as far as I know them, that they would expect to hear. Were it not dire consequences, we would still not have entered the land of the Varou. But this is the life and death of our people.
Yeah.
And we believe that something else is going afoot. And then we get here and there's bone walkers moving around, and some of the pillars kicking off sparks and showing colorations of energy, and things that we've never seen before. And then I would tell them about encountering the shaman and the deformed Varou, that had been corrupted, for lack of a better term, that we fought. That I think that the Varou that was watching us could attest to, at least some of it.
Yeah.
And that we did bring back what we believe to be a sacred artifact, a sacred item from the shaman's body. And we helped her, be put to rest.
Yeah.
And as far as we knew, that was going to be the end of it. And that we would get a chance to talk to the council, to the chieftain, and plead our case for help in fighting the Leviathan, because the primordials are more than any mere mortal can take on.
Yeah, these epic Leviathan beasts are fairly epic. I think I don't think my character would have much to add in that. Other than I would just kind of glare at them, because obviously our village is first of all, the revenge that I seek against Leviathan is because of a killed lover or whatever it is from back then. But everything that we do basically feels like we get farther from seeking out my vengeance, I guess would be the way to put it.
That's fair.
And so in order to get vengeance for Solana, the lady that was murdered as part of that initial group of people that went to fight the Leviathan, like, these guys just feel like an obstacle. So I may be glowering a little bit, especially since we're apparently feel like we haven't made any progress. But I am also reading the individuals to see who's reacting and what way they're reacting, or if they're all stone-faced. So my question would be, is this a compel move, do you think, to get him to because basically what our ask is at the end of this is probably
is begging part of compel?
I think so. I mean, let's see. Compel.
I think I would be trying to
charm, pacify, barter, or convince. I mean, we're not trying to threaten or incite or lie or swindle, but I think charm, pacify, barter, or convince feels fairly.
It does.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I would be, without getting too dramatic, I would be trying to compel the chief to help us.
Yeah,
So is that a heart roll?
it is. It was a heart roll.
All
And so,
right.
because that, I think compel feels the best because it feels like we're still asking them for something, regardless of our actual
We are.
position. We're
No,
still
we are.
asking them. We're like, we still want the abyssal harpoon. That
Out,
hasn't
out,
changed.
out of the goodness of your heart. Yeah. All right. You ready for the roll?
No. Why would I be ready based on how we rolled so far?
It is a weak hit. I rolled a 4 against a 1 and a 10.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's not not the success that we were hoping for, but in a compel,
Do I get a
when you do
momentum on that?
No.
Okay.
So basically, on a weak hit, you get the. Oh well, maybe you get a momentum. Let me double check.
I was trying to remember. I don't remember.
Well, because it says on a strong hit, they'll do what you want or share what they know. Take 1 momentum. If you use this exchange to gather information, make that now at a +1. On a weak hit, as above, but they ask for something in return. So I feel like you'd still get a
I
momentum
still get a momentum.
based on that thing, but
Okay.
but the problem is now, success is hinged on their counter proposal. Again, look to the fiction. What would they want? What would satisfy their concerns or motivate them to comply? And if you accept their offer, you gain ground. If not, you've encountered an obstacle in your quest. So at this point, what could we envision would satisfy their concerns or motivate them to comply?
I think now is when they tell us that there's more going on out there than just the bone walkers being raised.
Mm-hmm.
That there does appear to be something happening with the pillars that nobody really understands.
Do you think it's like a poisoning of the land kind of thing? Like the ground is turned soupy and boggy and stuff like that? Or
I could see. I think that it's possible that the pillars are there to maintain the natural order of things. And that
okay.
so this is stuff that we don't know, right?
Yeah,
if there was a primordial that clashed with the Leviathan and is taking power essentially from the towers, but essentially from the land, it's opening the land up for corruption or change.
Yeah.
And so I think people would notice that, plants dying, especially in the proximity of the towers and maybe even out in a radius, from the towers. Animals dying potentially. Weird, creatures being seen like the bone walkers or other things.
Okay.
That kind of stuff. I think they start to tell us some of this stuff because they could always just kill us. Like, who are we going to tell? Nobody's talking to us.
Yep.
But they need us to help figure it out. And since we have all this experience.
Okay.
This is the buttering up part, now that you guys are the closest thing we have to experts on this. Yeah. Maybe you can lend a different perspective than the Varou perspective. And, we need you to go out and help us end this threat to our lands because that's more important to us than even if the Leviathan did something to, wipe you guys out and then was a threat to us in some way. That's down the road. This is a threat that's an immediate threat to us today.
Okay.
That's approaching our lands, and our people are going to find out, and panic's going to ensue, like it did with your village, and then we'll be forced to do something stupid, like encroach on somebody else's land and ask them for, a treaty item back.
It's a vicious circle,
it's this vicious circle.
We gave them
we're the Varou, and we don't do that. Yeah,
we gave the elves the staff of "Don't fuck with us."
Exactly.
So, okay. Well, so basically that we're saying we want this abyssal harpoon, and they probably for them I would think it's more decorative than anything, right? Like it's not something.
It feels like a war trophy, right?
Mhm.
Like it's the symbol of them winning. It's the symbol of their warrior spirit.
Yeah. So,
But
so I,
it's not their artifact. You know what I mean? Like I don't think
Mhm.
they're running around hunting deer
No,
with it.
I feel like that's possibly true. So I feel that the compel, if the question is can they make a trade here, then they want their lands to be free of this corruption. That they would be okay, and I feel like it would be even fair for them to say, okay, well, you've laid out your saga in a way that we understand, and being as though we have some mutually aligned goals, I'm sure there's a way we can help each other, and in this case, the chieftain is like, without risking any Varou lives, you know, if you're that motivated to do this, and you've already done some work, then I feel like I feel like it would be natural for them to say, okay, sure, we'll give you this abyssal harpoon, but you need to go into the lands and like investigate why this, where this corruption is located. Like, how would this work? Like, where this corruption is
I,
located, where's the
I
source, right?
yeah, I think I still think that they would send one of their shamans, whether it was
Mhm.
one of the most powerful or one of the youngest or weakest, or that part I don't know, but I think they would send a shaman and some sort of a guard, for the shaman,
Okay.
and like a party, right? This would
Yeah.
be a party trying to solve it, even if they use us like cannon fodder potentially.
Sure. That's fair. And so we're kind of repeating what we've done in the past, but with a little bit more attention to who we're tied
Yes,
to. Okay.
it's a little
So
more important than the last one.
all right. So we have a Varou shaman.
It would
Um,
definitely need a
young,
name.
young or old? What do you think? I think a young shaman probably.
Okay.
Less risk that way to the institutional knowledge. I mean,
No, although I would think that they would need some specialization. You know what I mean? Like
mhm.
maybe the shamans specialize in different stuff. Maybe they've had shamans that study the pillars and have some idea on lore. They've talked to me. It
Okay.
doesn't mean that they can't be a young person because they could have studied with, like a lore
Yeah.
master type. Sure.
Okay. So I'm gonna roll for a name just to see what we get
Art.
here.
Okay.
And our name for our shaman is Keha. It's either Keha or Lisa. Leesla. Lisla. I think Keha is a little, little easier to do here.
A little easier
So,
to say. Okay.
and our guard's name is. Why don't you roll for the guard a D100?
Okay. So Keha is the shaman.
Yeah, Keha's the shaman.
How do they spell that?
Keha.
Okay. 97.
97.
For the guard.
We get the warrior Vojan. Vojan. It's Vojan.
Bojan. Yeah, that works for me. So they're the main guard, and I don't know, maybe 3 other guards, something like that. Does that round out the party, or is that too many?
I think a 4-person party is fairly standard.
Okay, let's go for it. Okay,
Yeah.
Bojan, Kia, and us.
We got some henchmen.
Yeah, no, I think we're the henchmen.
No, we're definitely the main characters.
This is beginning to feel like an episode of Lower Decks, Mike.
I have not watched Lower Decks, but I've seen some previews for it.
And, right, where the story is not about the adventures that the ship goes on or the lead officers. It's about the people that do the little jobs down below and just try to get through the day without having to do too much.
Yeah, I think I caught part of an episode at one point on accident, but it kind of looked funny. I'm just not.
It has its moments.
It
does.
Well, I thought it was one of those things where it got like to season 3 and started catching its stride or something like that.
Something like that. No, there are people that I've seen people, and I don't know that I'm one of them, that say it's like their favorite Star Trek show.
Okay. So at this point, we need a new we need a new quest.
We gotta swear a vow.
So discover the source of power in the village. That one we borked. Now it's discover the source of corruption in the Varou lands. And would you rank that as troublesome, dangerous, formidable, extreme, or epic? I have one that I'm thinking, but I'm curious what you're thinking.
It's at least formidable, but probably extreme.
It feels like extreme is where I'm at as well on that.
Didn't want to say extreme, but it's how it feels.
It feels extreme, especially if as we talked meta wise, what might be behind door number 1.
That's true.
Okay. So.
Yeah, and they can always increase as we get more information, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how do we...
I'm assuming Kiha can tell us some stuff, about what they've discovered and where they first started knowing or noticing.
Okay, so
the corruption.
In terms of like where, so in terms of where the corruption would have happened, I have two thoughts. Like it would be either there would be some sort of underground water source that it traveled through, or it would be a river or some like inlet or something like that.
Agree.
Which do you feel is more interesting? Like having it go into the water to me seems interesting because then it just becomes this like thing that just kind of like bubbles from the earth kind of.
Yes. No, that's true. And there is going to be some below ground water, right?
Yep. Just kind of like, I mean, we don't know how primordials work. It doesn't.
I don't have a clue.
Following the water at this point. Maybe it likes the fresh water because it's like, oh, that's different,
It's so fresh.
It's so fresh. Oh, fancy that. It's just like, I forgot the taste of fresh water. It's been so long. Okay. And so I think here is when we gather information from Kiha. So I'm going to...
Yeah, why don't you do that, Mr. Witz?
I'm going to gather information here. Because at this point, I feel kind of like antagonism towards the Varou in the general scheme of things, but I'm not... since the idea is that we're still making progress, I'll probably be okay with doing that. But I feel like this is a good...
the Varou wonder why you walk around saying, I won't let her death be meaningless.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to them.
They're just, why is he so fixated on this? Does he, and Kia's like, is he talking about me? Like, or the shaman? Like maybe there's a relationship. No, there's not. I have no idea. So 1d6 plus 2 plus 2d10. We are gather information.
That's not a good roll. Gather information is failing.
Your investigation unearths a dire threat or reveals an unwelcome truth that undermines your quest. Okay, so pay the price. What does that mean in this case? So when you suffer the outcome of I feel like this isn't one of those, like the quest is undermined simply because the quest feels like an impossible task. Locating the source of the corruption in the Varou lands, like you would probably notice where you'd probably notice where it might be, but it's like, well, how do you pinpoint something that big? Like I feel like the needle in the haystack.
That's what it feels like. the leader of the council, right, is talking to the shamans and is like, "You're the shamans. This is your area. You need to fix it." And they're out there investigating, going, "We can't figure out what the fuck's going on." Like they don't know what the hell's happening. You know what I mean? Like they're stumped, and they haven't really told. You know, they're doing rituals and stuff to try to slow the corruption.
What that would be
Stalling
hilarious.
For time to find out information.
We get Kiha out, and we're like, okay, we understand we're not on the best of terms, but we've got to work together to solve this. You obviously have a problem that needs to be solved. We have a problem that needs to be solved, and we need to know what you know about this. And they're just like, we know nothing, and we're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. What?
So
how do you know nothing? What do you know about the pillars, smart guy?
And we're like, we know nothing.
Varou walking in here.
Yeah. So
getting captured over and over again.
My brain is like, okay, well, this is, you're obviously not, you know nothing. We know nothing. So let's go to what we do know. We go back to this Bone Walker village, and we go to the source of corruption we at least know has made itself known to us, right? That's at least the only pillar that we're aware of that is so overtly corrupted. Because I don't think we'd be able to find that other pillar that you had interacted with to save our lives.
No,
like
we
were fucking lost.
I think she would tell us that that's one of the ones that's like the furthest in on their lands. You know, encroaching is that pillar, and they've been investigating ones further out, but not finding anything. So my guess is that she's willing to go along there as long as we can keep up.
Yeah. I mean, at least start with what you know, right? Like we know this area.
Yeah. Okay. I think we should do that.
And so I think in terms of getting to know our newfound friends, maybe?
Companions.
Getting to
jailers, guards.
What is relationship moves?
You can try to build a relationship. I tried to do that once, and it ended really bad. It ended in a knife fight to the death almost.
Well, I think that the plan here is that I don't feel like it's now, but I feel like it would be fair to put this on at least on a radar. These are two characters as named characters, let's call them, because obviously you can make bonds with named characters. Is there a chance that there is bonds that could be forged through these?
I think so. No, I think so. That they're not in a great situation. They're expected to solve something that they don't have the faintest clue what's going on.
Yeah.
And sooner or later the council's going to find that out.
So let's do. So I think that in this case we have. There's a bond. Let's see. How does it work with bonds? I just wanted to see real quick.
Sure.
Because I think that there is a. If you. Because there is a bond progress track that I'm forgetting here. Okay. Okay, I'm just trying to remember what this is, but obviously I'm. Okay, so as you build relationships and complete quests in the service of others, you create bonds by making Forge Bond move. Bonds provide a narrative texture. The bond's progress track on your character sheet represents the connections you have made. When you successfully forge a bond, you mark progress 1 tick. And each time your Ironsworn is done, you write your epilogue. Okay. Okay, so basically we could add them to the bond progress track of there. Um, that's interesting. We really only have one bond progress track on this, so I guess technically we would need more. But we'll talk. That's neither here nor there. But it is something that there is a way to represent. Are there things that we could do to do that? And I know that with how we play D&D and stuff like that, sometimes we hand wave over the things like travel
Right.
and all of that kind of stuff. Whereas games like this, and like we just played our first session of Dolanwood, that really relishes in the minutia of travel and
Yes.
camaraderie. I thought it was a fun first session, when you guys were camping and
It was fun.
it was our other friend who basically is like apparently a city elf. He's like he went camping and ended up more exhausted on the way to the tomb you were investigating than helpful. But just the interactions that it prompts when you do the things that it was suggesting, like build camaraderie and all that kind of stuff. Like I think that's an important part, and that could be something that you could build bonds with as you travel. So
That's true.
um,
No, I
so
agree.
spend the time on the journey. So in this case, I don't feel like we really need to worry about the journey as much because we're still in a safe zone when we're traveling with the Varou, I think. At least
think
back
so.
to the village of Bone Walkers. So I feel like at some point we probably need to camp and restore our health. But I feel like that could be hand waved. I think we could rest enough to get back to fucking 5 health and not be dead.
Yeah, the zero health is not super fun.
But I don't. But with that, I don't think that resets our momentum though. So that's.
But I think we're probably going to spend some supply, or with the Varou
but if we,
right now, we're okay.
I mean, we could probably negotiate. Just kind of rewinding a bit before we leave the Varou village. We could be like,
I'm sure we get I'm sure this time we actually get supplied.
Yeah, like we need to be bandaged up and let go because we fought literally, Varou monster.
I would imagine they could wait a couple because it doesn't take very long to get the health back.
No,
Especially
I feel like
with
basically
some
we're just
healing going on.
We get poulticed and bandaged, and in a couple days, we're good enough to move.
Fed a little bit, allowed to sleep.
We carouse. Rest. We carouse a little bit with some of the Varou that are willing to talk to us because they're young and impetuous and don't really care about the traditions as much. Whatever. So there's our in with the Varou. Is I'm willing to drink with anybody, I guess. Give me a horn of ale, and I'll share all the stories of living wherever I've lived in my travels. Okay, well then, hey, I'm going to roll that fucking bond thing just to see what happens. See if I don't get unceremoniously.
Let's see if we can't make some. Well, I think we can continue to try because we're likely traveling with them for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I'm assuming the rolls aren't too bad and they abandon us out in the middle of nowhere.
Roll
and say we ran off in the middle of the night.
Nope, I do not forge a.
I don't think they appreciate your attitude.
No, apparently we're at the part of this where we're still such old enemies that they decided that wasn't okay. So I'm not really sure what the negative consequences are. So I'm going to roll the D100.
No, you just typed 100 and it returned 100.
I did.
You didn't actually roll 100.
I don't know. I missed the 1D. I got a 49. Okay, so apparently I made an enemy of one of the Varou as we were drinking. So now I've probably endangered our bond with the Varou a little bit. So now I have to worry about this Varou in the background. We will call him. Fuck, I don't know. we do not have any luck when it comes to this stuff, do we?
We did. Companions, friends? No.
$89. Oh, we already had a Draco, so yeah, we already have a Bojin. Let's call them Savine. So Savine
I will let you track your arch enemy, or at least two people that irritate the hell out of each other.
Oh, so Savine is probably loyal to Radka, and I didn't know about their relationship. And
That's
I probably ragged on Radka a little bit after a little bit of drink.
Not you.
A little bit of drink loosened my lips, and let's just say, you know what? How about this? How about I leave with 4 health because I think that we didn't get into an honor duel, but he reminded me that they're the physically more impressive species of the two.
That's fair. No, I think that's a good.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say that maybe I was a little too loose after a couple drinks, and my forging the bond didn't work out.
Fair. No, that's fair.
Fuck, man.
We just as a group are not good. As a couple of characters are not good at some of this stuff.
We just are not ready for it.
But as we travel, I try to make small talk with Vojan and Keha.
I'm also going to ask for a bow. Just.
Oh yeah, you should have a bow. But I'm gonna. Okay.
It needs to happen.
Once we are traveling, I will try to. And the bonding thing is a wit. It's not a heart.
No, it's a heart. I think
it's a heart. Okay.
Yeah. I'm never going to bond with anybody ever again. So tell me how do you try to bond with our newfound?
Just asking questions about what they've learned about the pillars, sharing whatever meager knowledge our village had, which is probably less than they had, but I think they would be able to tell if we were being dishonest about it and holding anything back. Trying to show some enthusiasm because this is the closest we've been to somebody saying, yes, you can get the harpoon. Whether it's true or not, that's still to be found, but I'm at least somewhat hopeful that things are turning around.
Okay.
And I'm trying to form some bonds. I rolled an 8 against a 1 and a 4.
You actually strong hit, so you get a point in bonds.
Yay.
So at least as I'm nursing my swollen eye, you're obviously talking with them much more eloquently than I am. Like at night, I'm just like cold rock on my eye, and you're actually talking with them. Cool. I'm just no good. Okay, so let's say, do you think? I mean, we could kind of fast forward without camps and all that, and just basically, as you had discussed, you talk with them to get more perspective and share your knowledge and create camaraderie.
So for our bond, I get 1 star with each, right?
Yeah, just one tick on the. Was it 1 tick?
I don't remember.
You mark a tick, meaning you get one
line. Oh my god! Some of the things in this game take so long.
Yeah, I think.
How's our bonding going?
Not good.
It was a little rough for a while. No, I meant me and you.
I think we're fully bonded at this point. Like we're through thick and thin. But you need 4 ticks to fully fill a box with a bond. Just to give you an idea as to how this bond stuff works. Woo.
Okay, but we have 1 tick.
Well, you have 1 tick. I have obviously no ticks.
Okay. Kia and Vojan. 1 tick. That's not great. Okay. We'll work on it. We'll keep working on it. Nice to know I can roll something other than a 1 or a 2 on a D6, though.
Okay. So I think that in terms of, let's see. Okay, so as people are aware, one of the things that we like doing is we like learning how to play the game as we're doing this and kind of sharing what that means. Meaning that, there are going to be some times in which we talk about the rules a little bit more in depth and kind of interrupt play. And I think that as we're approaching this, I think that it's probably a good idea to kind of recover the joining forces with NPCs section of Ironsworn. Just so people are, because we didn't really talk about this last time, because
That's
when
fair.
we joined forces with the Shadow Guard, they weren't really a participant from a fictional standpoint as to with this, but it feels like these NPC helpers will probably be a little bit more engaged with the fiction with us. So
Yes.
joining forces with NPCs, if your story leads to cooperating with other helper NPCs to overcome challenges, you need to consider how they impact the fiction with your moves. NPCs, unless they are a companion asset, won't give you mechanical bonuses on your moves. They also won't make moves of their own. They are simply part of your story, perhaps impacting the moves you can make, or the moves you make, and the results of those moves, and the ranks of your challenges. Getting the aid of an important NPC might allow you to reach a milestone. For example, if you're charged with protecting NPCs, they might be placed in danger or suffer loss as a result of your failure or moves. If you're fighting along NPCs, you can reduce the rank of your foes. Battling alone might be an extreme, but if you're aided by stalwart band of villagers, you might make it formidable. If you're being led by an experienced scout, you might choose to skip the undertake a journey move or reduce the rank of a journey. If an NPC leader agrees to support your quest by allowing passage to contested lands, you might reach a milestone, etc., etc., etc. So just as a heads up, these NPCs don't actually have their own moves that they make. So unlike games like D&D where the NPCs would have stat blocks or whatever, they're just more to massage the fiction. Is that fair?
That's fair. Yeah.
Massage the fiction might be my least favorite way of describing a narrative game.
It's no, that's not, let's avoid that one. We'll come up with something new.
So I think that we can bypass the undertake a journey to get back to the village where we're starting here.
The bone walkers, yes.
I feel like at this point we're going to do a gather information. So we go back to the village. We find that the bone walkers themselves have turned inert. The village is, abandoned once again. However, going back and through that windy hollow to the actual pillar, which was buried underneath earth at this point, we find that the pillar itself is still, like, even, we kind of just left it as it was, but we find that it was still at least as intense as it was in terms of the evil, the heebie-jeebies that it was given off before, the vibes.
Yes.
What distinguishing traits could this pillar give off that would give us more clues as to, now that we're looking at it, like, give us more clues of the source of its corruption? Would it have, like, because we said it was purplish in color and that there was like a slime mold from being so damp in the hollow, but is there anything you could think of that would kind of be visually a clue as to
I would still think maybe some like with the purple, like, things that, well, we wouldn't know what electricity is, but do you know what I mean? Like
but when you look at
power
like
emanating from it, kind of,
like
like,
where you're like your
air
stands,
like you get near it,
you get goosebumps back in your neck.
Yeah, you get goosebumps. Like, I think it feels wrong, for lack of a better term, because the pillars were a mystery, but they were always so pristine, and they
you couldn't even damage them.
They didn't tarnish. They didn't scratch. They didn't. They weren't explained. They were weird.
but they were an immutable part of the landscape.
Yes. There we go. That's a good way of saying it.
Mm-hmm.
And now it feels wrong, like it doesn't belong, or that it's being warped somehow. Something is acting upon it, is kind of what it feels like.
Mm-hmm. So in terms of the hollow, and kind of to give it a little bit more description, is that the room itself, or the chamber that this is, because we discussed that this was kind of like a warren. There were
Yeah.
rough passageways cut into the earth that led to this chamber, which had the pillar, which was standing straight up and down, but had been buried by earth over time. However it was buried is lost to time. But the chamber itself, where it was hollowed out, I feel like in kind of going with our theme, is that it's damp earth, but I feel like the ground would be damp and or muddy at the
Yes.
base. Like there would have to be
I do too.
some connection here that we could use, and that the mud itself feels slimy, rather than like watery. It feels slimy, like it's got kind of an almost oily texture to it to give it a little extra stuff. And we probably didn't notice these things before because we were focused on the Varou shaman,
we
and the
were being
effigy.
attacked, and
Yeah. And we had a haunt, basically a ghostly figure that had manifested themselves to have a conversation with us, which was nice of them. And I feel like that would at least give us a little bit of information. Now, here is where we probably have to decide a few things. Like, what's our next step? Like, is it a gather information step? And then we just say that because we have.
I think we need to try to gather information, like pool our knowledge with the shaman and what her senses can. I mean, it's our role, right? But it's kind of via her and her senses and her training. And
Okay.
So gather information wits.
Well, I think in this case, I can't wait to see how this fails.
And do we get a +1 because we have an ally helping us? I'm just asking.
No, because that's what it said. Unless they're an asset, we don't get any mechanical advantage.
Okay.
So yeah, roll wits. I think my wits is better if you want me to roll the wits.
Your wits is 1 higher.
Not that
mine is 1. Yours is a 2. Well, at this point, I'm playing the odds, Mike. Not that that's helped us.
It hasn't. Well,
you only rolled 1d10. You get a weak success?
I did get a weak success. So that means that at least we learned something.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to take 1 momentum, putting me at a very formidable 9. On a weak hit, the information complicates your quest or introduces a new danger. Envision what you discover and ask the oracle if unsure. So, okay.
All right.
So
I discovered something.
So we bring her down here. I feel like as the scout, and I've been here before, whereas the neither of the Varou have been here, at least in person. Kind of showing them through the warrens and everything like that. I point to the pillar and say, this is we had thought we had dealt with the village, but obviously this is more important than we had understood it to be. But here it is, and I kind of in its cold and dark and forbidding majesty, we kind of take a look at it. The Varou shaman, I feel like in this case, the way the magic probably works is there's probably an opening, like they probably make themselves available. I assume that what she would probably do is some sort of weirding, kind of like a directionality, try to tap into whatever it is and all that kind of stuff. Because I feel like there's probably something with ley lines. This could be a ley line network or something like that.
Oh no, totally.
That she could,
yes.
So that she could basically.
I feel like she's going to sense some sort of direction or something. That we need to go, and maybe it's underground. Maybe the warren connects to something. We never really investigated that.
We didn't. We felt fairly good about just solving.
We were sure. We were 100% sure, Mike. We did it. We beat the haunt. We got the artifact back from the dead Varou shaman. We buried the body. We did all the things that we needed to do, and it wasn't enough.
So I feel like what is what's happened here is that rather than necessarily we get this information scot-free that kind of develops the next step, is that she's put in danger somewhat, kind of like Nita was. Maybe she wasn't. Maybe she didn't fail as catastrophically as Nita does. But I feel like there's a she samples the poisonous nature of whatever this corrupting thing is by performing her shaman and trying to reach out.
It probably feels overwhelming if the pillars kept the land safe, like protected the land and the natural order, and that power is being siphoned away and it's causing a corruption, then it's going to feel like the whole world is wrong. And like that would have to be if you had senses like that when you open them up like that and got flooded with that, it would have to be a shock. I'm imagining, some sort of a, maybe not like obviously kill her, but stun her for a little bit.
Yeah. So basically she opens herself up, like her eyes go wide, bloodshot. She starts coughing and gurgling as she spits up some brackish looking blood liquid. It's just kind of like forms into this conduit for this corrupted thing. Vojan looks at us thinking that we're probably proud of, like wondering if we did this on purpose. And we're like,
and we're looking at him like, how do we help her?
What do we do? Like, what is happening? And he's just like, well, and so we probably use that moment to retreat a little bit. And then the information we gathered about what we need is when she recovers,
it's going to take a little time. Maybe she collapses.
Yeah. So I think we could probably set up camp, outside the Warren.
Probably not in the Warren. No,
yeah,
further away from the corruption.
Yeah. And we basically wait for her to awaken and all that kind of stuff. And I think that my brain doesn't really know where this goes from here. So we can go ahead and say that's the end of the adventure tonight. All right. I think that's the cliffhanger is we set up a tent, because we have real supplies for now because we were with the Varou. We set up our sleeping arrangements. We get something warm going. We try to feed her some water. And we wait for her to wake up, and she kind of like probably is one of those things where when she returns to consciousness, she just bolts upright, and that's where the cliffhanger is.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
and we don't know when we're picking up the cliffhanger. Probably in January because of the holidays.
Yep. But we will see what happens next, and of course. Yes. One of the challenges is how do we have more fun with writing and all that stuff. So you may see this in written form as a more cohesive story on the blog. We have a blog. Cool. I have a blog. At least we have a blog page that we all can contribute to. But we're starting to share some of our stories and some stuff in long form written content. So if you like to read, which I believe everybody in the tabletop RPG world likes to do, you
should add a link down below.
Yeah, it's somewhere on the internet. If you
you can add it in the episode description.
Yeah, I'll put it in there. We don't have very much on there right now. I had started it right before my wife got injured, and then I just didn't have the time to pick it back up while we were taking care of her. But I will be picking it back up soon. And of course, you may see thoughts about games. You may see stuff like this. And it's not Substack, it's Blogspot, blog, whatever that is.
I don't know.
I feel like everyone's gone over to Substack, and I don't know why you would use Substack because I haven't really looked into it, but maybe one day I'll be cool enough to say we have a Substack. Oh.
Maybe not.
Probably not. I'm very low. It's been so long since I've written that it feels weird to try to
flex the muscles.
Like I write notes and I plot things out a little bit, but I don't write.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
No, it does. It does.
Yeah. Like people don't write a lot.
You just need to exercise those muscles again.
Yeah. So please come while we try and see what it's all about. But that being said, we hope to see you again sometime in the near future. If you have any comments, notes, you want to say hi, jump in the comments, say hello, do those things. And Jeff, can you send us off into the wild blue?
I will. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a happy holidays. Hit us up on social media. We are at Rollwise. You can email us if you need to, rollwiseguys@gmail.com. But until we see you again, roll well, roll wise, and be safe out there.
See you, everybody.